Welcome to the third edition of the Out of Here podcast. Summoning Salt and Just Alex. Talking about this past week of Giants baseball that started very, very, very poorly and ended pretty darn well. An inconsistent week for the Giants. What do you think of it, Alex?
Uh, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect with the lineups we saw going into this week. It was looking pretty weak for the most part in that 2-game Dodger series. And then we got the reinforcements back, at least some of them, for this Cardinal series, but it didn't really work out until the last 2 games. But I
Yeah,
guess we could start looking at the Dodger series, which was pretty ugly.
well, yeah, like you said, very different lineup that started the week versus ending the week. But see, the Giants lost 3-1 and 9-1 Tuesday and Wednesday to the Dodgers. We were saying in the last episode, like, you really got to at least split this series, even though it's in LA and your lineup's beaten up. If you start to lose ground to the Dodgers, it's really hard to make it up. And that's what happened. Do you think if they had their healthy lineup, do you think they would have split it, or do you think they were kind of screwed no matter
I
what?
mean, I think if they had their full healthy lineup, they had a chance in the first game. Like,
Mm.
Rodon pitched well despite giving up 2 runs. Like, he did well enough for the team to get a win, you know?
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
bullpen did pretty decent, only giving up 1 run. Um, it's just the offense couldn't get anything going. They only scored 1 run.
Yeah, I mean, you had Kevin Padlo in there, who ultimately he didn't do a whole heck of a lot this week. Luke Williams was in there in the first game. Um, they had Dubon hitting in the second spot, which that seemed pretty funny at the start of the week, and by the end, I don't know, man. Dubon's looking pretty good, but yeah, the first game, the whole story was Rodon still pitching out of his mind, and the offense just really slumping behind him. They couldn't get anything going off of Julio Urias.
Yeah, I mean, I think they dropped 5 out of 6 before the last 2 wins of the week. They just been cold on offense, and then the bullpen has been also like really cold, and it kind of just not a good mix. They can't score runs, and they can't get any back if the bullpen gives any up.
Yeah, that first game, you had Brevia and Alvarez out of the pen. Brevia gave up a run. Alvarez did not. But game two against the Dodgers was kind of the implosion. Don't really know what Kapler's obsession with Mauricio Olvera was, but I think it's over now. He pitched an inning in game two, gave up a run. Sam Long came in. I mean, I like Sam Long, but he didn't have a good outing at all. Gave up 3 runs in the third inning. And then Tyler Beede, another guy who's not on the team anymore, an inning in a third, gave up 2 runs. So it's like, our B bullpen was kind of in that game, but yeah, they didn't do very well.
Yeah, they kind of just threw in the towel pretty much. Like, by the time they were down 3-1, they pretty much gave up, putting Sammy Long and Beede in there.
Yeah, I don't think Long was necessarily a give up move, but I think for one reason or another, he was not sticking with his best guys. I don't know. And then Beede was clearly a give up move. Like, he was like, all right, your last chance to
Yeah, he's pretty much like a basketball garbage time kind of
yeah,
pitcher, basically.
eat up some innings. But yeah, no more Tyler Beede. Wish him the best. Yeah, top prospect, derailed by Tommy John. So yeah, 2 games against the Dodgers, really ugly. Jock Peterson in his return was 0 for 4. Strada 0 for 4 in that second game. Joey Bart struck out twice, which is almost below average for him. But anyway, move on to the Cardinals series. You have any last thoughts on the Dodgers?
Um, I think the only thing you can really hope for is just the fully healthy lineup can compete with this team. But it's looking pretty tough because they're looking very good. The whole NOS is looking pretty good, to be honest,
Yeah,
right now.
they are. They are. When you have the Rockies and Diamondbacks on these 2 mini hot streaks too, it's like they're good. Like, Giants are going to finish ahead of those guys, obviously, but it's just the combination of every team in the NL West surging at the same time as the Giants were on this big losing streak. It was a monk-ass sort of week, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
But
at least they still stayed ahead of um, the D-backs. I don't know what the
yeah,
Rockies' record is, to be honest, but even though
yeah,
they were losing so much, they're still ahead of one team at least.
they are tied with the Rockies right now. They're both
Yeah.
16 and 12.
Right.
Yeah, so went on to the St. Louis series, and yeah, I mean, I was not feeling good going into this. Really, they were already in a bit of a slump, but game one of the series with Disco still out, they had to do a bullpen game, and Gabe Kapler once again, Mauricio Llovera, his man, pitched a
Yeah,
solid inning to
yeah,
start.
he did well in his
Yeah.
inning. It wasn't
But
him this time.
yeah, then honestly, it was the guys that you expect to pitch well for the Giants not doing great out of the bullpen. Littell gave up a run. Jose Alvarez, who I'm sure he's going to be fine, but he gave up a couple runs in the third of an inning. Gregory Santos did well. That was good to see. Welcome back. Jake McGee, getting worried about him. Might talk about him a little more later. 3 runs he gave up, and then Tyler Rogers giving up a run, and ultimately the offense just not doing anything.
Ultimately, it doesn't even matter if your offense is not scoring a run,
Yeah.
But another thing you want to look at is they had 10 hits, only 2 less than the Cardinals. I think
Yeah.
a common theme of this kind of cold streak is that, like, what I've seen is the leadoff hitters getting on base, either a walk or a hit, and then like a double play happens like right after that. So the any inkling of a rally is just gone immediately.
Yeah, I mean, we were discording each other during the game. Like, I think it was this game, and it was the first one inning. We were like, "Yeah, what's your prediction for the inning? Someone's gonna walk and then hit into a double play and then an out." And I think we successfully predicted all 3 of the at bats ahead of time because it was just so predictable. Every inning, they get the leadoff guy on, and then it would completely fizzle out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jock Peterson 0 for 5. He had a rough start to his return, 0 for 9 in his first 9 at bats. You started to see a little bit of life out of Darren Ruff at that point. He was 1 for 4. World Series legend Gonzalez 2 for 3. It was nice to see, but yeah, I mean, overall, it's just not getting the timely hits when you need them, and the bullpen couldn't keep them in the game. So yeah, I was not feeling great at that point, but that was just the first game of the series, still 3 more to go. And then next game on Friday, they dropped it 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, it was a better showing, but still just not enough from the offense.
Yeah.
Like,
Letting them down.
just the common theme. I mean, they actually got more hits than the Cardinals, but that doesn't matter when you score 1 less run.
Cobb was really good.
Yeah, he bounced back, so that's good.
He gave up that homer, but other than that, he looked really good out there.
Yeah, 8 strikeouts, 5 innings.
Yeah.
Solid day.
Offense, it's like not even really worth talking about. I mean, 0 for 4 from Peterson, 0 for 4 Wilmer Flores, Joey Bart, 2 strikeouts. I mean, let's just move on. I was not feeling good at that point. Obviously this is a team that's a lot better than a 5-game losing streak, but they really did bounce back this weekend. Saturday, they played, won 13-7. The offense finally came alive, and they kind of overcame some not great starting pitching for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this is one of Duplan's best games.
Yeah.
In his short Giants career, like he's been mostly like below average for most of his time as a Giant, but like I can see why he gets run. He's depth. When they gave Crawford a day off, he's the shortstop. And he pulled through for this game. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say fact of the matter is because we don't know, but in a couple months when the team's fully healthy and going through a series of games, Dubon's probably not going to be anywhere close to an everyday player. He's, obviously he has talent. He's got some skills out there. He every now and then he just makes like a ridiculous defensive play.
yeah. He's just a
but
very inconsistent player. Like he can do something
yeah,
really crazy, and then the next day or next inning, even he just does something that's not very smart.
he's got. I think he struggles with the mental aspect of the game sometimes.
Yeah,
Makes some odd mistakes. And yeah, other highlight of that game, of course, Wilmer Flores, 6 RBIs, the first inning grand slam. He actually had 3 opportunities for a grand slam that game, which is pretty insane. But he only cashed in the first time, but still drove in 6.
I mean, he's been, even though like his his batting average hasn't been great. That doesn't really matter right now because he's knocking in he's knocked in the most runs. Like he's got the most RBIs, I think, for the Giants, and he's getting like decent at bats, playing like pretty much every game, almost every game.
Yeah, I mean, most relevant stat usually for a hitter, you look at their OPS and it's 759, which isn't great, but in this, the offense of 2022, it's really not that bad. And I think he's been a pretty clutch hitter too. He's coming
Yeah,
through when he needs to.
yeah. I mean, but the RBI speak for themselves in that case.
Right. Yep. And then finally, yeah, today, the Mother's Day game, Giants pulled out close 4-3 victory. Yeah, I mean, it was good to see them string a couple wins together. Jacob Junis is still a god, and he gave up the 1 homer, but he was really good.
For someone that just got out of nowhere, another Farhan
He has
steal.
like an 8-something ERA in AAA,
Yeah, I
and
mean, I feel like I've heard a few times that the AAA where the River Cats play, it's like it's kind of a hitter's park because I felt like last season, I think we mentioned this already, like the people on the lineup for the River Cats, like so many guys are hitting like in the what their OPS was in the thousands or something. Like it was pretty crazy
yeah,
for most of the
900
season.
900 OPS in AAA last year was like it was like the equivalent of getting like a 750 or something in MLB. It was really like everyone was doing it. I don't know if it's so much the ballpark though or the
Mm.
league. Like I was saying like last time, the weather in Sacramento in the evening game sometimes is kind of ideal for the ball carrying, but yeah, I mean Jacob Junis, I don't know, man. It certainly there's not that much of a difference where you're gonna have an over 8 ERA in AAA and then bring it to one. I don't know what he's gonna be like 159 or something in MLB. It's
It's pretty low because this is like one of the first times he's given up runs, right?
yeah, so he's given up 2 runs in 15 innings. So whatever the math would be on that. But anyway, yeah, Jacob Junis is great. We love him. Hope he sticks around for a long time. Darren Ruff went 2 for 3 today. Lamont Wade Jr. with the homer. Mike Yastrzemski with the splash hit homer. It was awesome.
I mean, living by the home run again, but if it works, it works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to really last, but um, yeah, no, good game today. Good games this weekend. So they're back up to 16-12, which um, they're probably going to have to play better than this if they want to compete to win the division, but at least it seems like they're not in a tailspin anymore. They're climbing out of it. Everyone's getting healthy again. And I would say some key players are starting to get back on track. And yeah, I want to highlight a few of them, but I want to see first if you have any in particular you want to point out, just Alex.
I would say the two that stood out the most to me, like for this whole week, is Gonzalez. Like I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. Like he's like the opposite of kind of like a lot of the guys on the roster that are usually hitting home runs. He's like setting the table. He's a contact hitter to the max, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
no, he's good.
getting on base and he's doing his job. The only thing is like I think he has had a few problems with defense, but I still think his bat's been pretty nice. So
yeah, he's Marco Scutaro 10 years later, really. I mean, he's got like 300 batting average. He walks a little bit, but not that much. He doesn't strike out a whole heck of a lot. He has a little bit of power, just enough to kind of remind you that he can hit homers.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, he had that clutch one in the Milwaukee game. So
yeah, but yeah, he's rocking an OPS a little under 800 right now, which that's really like again, like I don't know where these guys are coming from, but it's working. It's working.
and then the other one I would say is, even though he came in just the last few games this week, I would say it's like he's looked a lot better lately. Like it seems like he's put last year behind him. Like even going into this year, he had a really good start, but then he had COVID, so he kind of lost the momentum. But it looks like he's already back on track.
Yeah, we're getting he's in his batting average up to almost 300. Which I mean, there's a lot of things that can go into that, obviously, but the Mike Yastrzemski of 2 years ago, who we thought was like going to be this big superstar, he was hitting 297, and I believe now he's up to let's see, at 295. So it's good to see. His power's still there. Hit that huge home run to give the Giants the lead today. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if we're going to see 2019, 2020 Mike Yastrzemski, but he's showing flashes of it for sure. So if we can at least get something between that and what we had last year, I would definitely be happy with that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, because in the end, he was like the first. He was like the first Farhan find that, and he's still around, which is nice because it's kind of showing that these guys can last in the league. They're not just like 1 year wonders.
He's also turning 32 in August,
Yeah,
which
it's
is pretty crazy.
only been like what, his fourth, fifth year in the league now in the majors.
Yeah, it's his fourth year.
Yeah, like I don't know how he does it. He just finds like 28-year-old rookies or something and just turns them into serviceable or better players.
The wonders of the cheating lab. Yeah, for me, I mean, we only saw him in one game, but
Yeah.
like Brandon Belt, I mean, he's not like my number one standout player of the week, but Brandon Belt, I think he walked 2 or 3 times.
It was 3 times, yeah.
It was 3 times. It's like, dude, Brandon Belt's back. Let's go. He's not even hitting the ball, and it's good to have him back. He had that neck issue that we were worried was an oblique strain, but they rested him out of precaution today. But hopefully he's going to be back, and we're still going to get a full season from him. So hopefully,
Yeah, I mean, anytime he gets hurt, you're kind of worried, like, oh, there it goes again. He's out for like a few months, but
yeah.
It looks like this one is just a minor thing. So,
all right, and then my last guy, the legend, the Barry Bonds of 2022. It's Darren Ruff. He's back. He's hitting the ball less hard, and it means he's getting more hits. It's just how baseball is sometimes. But yeah, no, I mean, he's getting his stats up. He's still hitting the ball well. He's still hitting it hard sometimes. His hits are coming off of the weaker ones for whatever reason. And yeah, I think his batting average got over 200 today. I think you were saying.
at one point of the game, I don't know if it stayed above it, but he's on a 5-game hitting streak, so that's good. Yeah, I think he's at 204 now. He went 2 for 3.
204. Okay. Yeah. He's still walking a lot too. He strikes out a bit, but he also hasn't struck out more than once in a game in well over a dozen games now, it looks like. So that's really good.
Something about today's game I saw on Twitter is like, I think Jock was the only strikeout today, and that happened to end the 8th inning, I think. And like, if he didn't strike out, it would have been one of the first games in a while that like one team did not have any strikeouts, but he ended up striking out there. So
yeah,
it was a good day in terms of that for the Giants.
All right. So guys on the other side of the equation. So I've got 2 in my mind. I got a batter and a pitcher who I'm getting a bit concerned about. I try to not look at this as like, if they had a bad week, like I'm looking down on them because like it's just a few games, but you try to look at trends over time. I'm guessing you could figure out who the batter is that I'm worried about, Alex.
Um, could it be our starting shortstop?
I'm not that worried about Brandon Crawford.
Okay.
It's Joey Bart,
Oh, well, yeah, I figured we've already talked about him and he still hasn't
but it's
climbed out of the
getting
hole yet.
worse. That's the problem. It's getting
Yeah,
worse.
he kind of like the day after we first really mentioned him, he had a solid game. But then after that, it kind of just went back to normal, which is
Yeah,
not a good normal.
he plays like 4 times in a week usually,
Mhm.
and he'll get like one game where he goes 2 for 3 with a homer, and then all the other games he's hitless with multiple strikeouts. Every single one.
Yeah,
He he's still striking out in 45% of plate appearances. It's just still going.
that's absurdly high.
He's batting 164. His one saving grace still is that he's still walking, so he's still reaching base. But man, that batting average, like if you're not putting the ball in play, he hits the ball hard, but he's not putting it in play.
Yeah, he's got a hole in his bat.
And he's got to stop taking the first pitch every single at bat because they just fire in a strike and he looks at it like every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really. What I'm worried about is like if this continues, like Casale isn't that much better or isn't better. So they're
Yeah,
kind of in a bad spot at catcher if Bart can't turn this around.
I think Casale's underlying numbers, though, would suggest that he might be due for a bit of an improvement. Like his BABIP. Actually, no, okay, I'm wrong. His BABIP's over 300. He's striking out 40% of the time. I guess that's better than 45%, but um,
I mean, I'm kind of seeing the exact same thing I saw from Casale last season, like in a
yeah,
lot of ways. He,
a lot of
he
swings and misses.
yeah, and he's just they could literally put everyone on the left side of the field and he would definitely hit it to them because he's just like he's like a righty, he's like a lefty pull hitter, but he's a righty. It's just he
Yeah,
can't hit it to the right side. He rarely hits it to the right side. Very rarely.
yeah. So I don't know, man. We need it's kind of I think everyone is hoping a little bit that Buster Posey Day was going to be a little more than just a retirement ceremony. Like there's going to be a
On
little bit of
retirement.
bit of an announcement coming, but never happened. But yeah, we could. I don't know, man. One of them's got to figure it out. Casale has been a good player at points in his career, and Joey Bart, like clearly the guy has potential. It's just who the hell knows.
I
So
mean, it's it's almost getting to the point where like imagine you could DH for the catcher instead of the pitcher.
yeah,
That's how poor they've been hitting so far this season, but I
yeah,
think they'll do better hopefully soon.
yeah. Anyone else you want to talk about on the batting side, or should we move to pitchers?
Um, I guess in terms of people struggling, I'm not really sure. Like, I guess I guess you could talk about Jock a little bit, but he's still hitting the ball so hard,
Yeah,
like
he'll be fine. I'm
almost
not
every
worried about him.
time. He's just not getting the air on it like he usually does.
Yeah, he's just going through a Darren Ruff
Yeah.
stretch where he's hitting the ball like 112 miles an hour right into the ground. It'll
Like yeah, because I feel like he's hit at least 80% of his outs like directly into the shift second baseman.
yeah. I'm not really worried about Jock. He's also coming back from not playing for a while, so
Mhm.
it happens. All right, pitching side. I think there's one guy to clearly be a little concerned about just because expectations for him are so high. Um, Logan Webb. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
worried about him. What do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely struggled a lot to start the season. Like you thought after the first few starts, like, oh, he's not doing too bad. But then lately he's just been giving up a ton of hits and he definitely looks like he's not as much a swing and miss guy anymore. He's like giving up a ton of contact.
Yeah, first 2 starts of the season were excellent. I mean, it was just like in line from last year. He went 6 innings, then 8 innings. He gave up 1 earned run in each start. Um, yeah, I mean, he looked great. And these last four, he's gone 3 2/3, with 3 earned runs, 6 2/3 with 3 earned runs, 6 with 3 earned runs, and then 5 with 4 earned runs. So on the bright side, he hasn't really had a blow up start yet. But on the downside, I wouldn't say he's really had a good start since April 13th, which is like a month ago now.
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't been the dominant Logan Webb that we saw to end the last season. Like, he's just, at this point, he's kind of looked like our maybe third best starter, second or third best starter.
Yeah, he's looking like so if you just take his last 4 games, like the ones I'm concerned about, obviously, he's at a 5.48 earned run average, which is, I mean, that's like your 5th starter.
Yeah, I mean, luckily his record is 4-1, but it just
Yeah,
he hasn't looked great.
no, he's not. But yeah, look, young pitcher, obviously a lot can change in the season. I mean, last season it was the inverse. I mean, he started rather poorly and then turned it around. So yeah, who knows? Could just be a rough stretch for him. But for me, it's at the point now where it's been enough starts in a row that it's like clearly this is not the same guy we were seeing, the very start of the year or last year. So yeah, I don't know.
Concerning, that's for sure.
And I mean the other guys, Rodon is still. We've talked about Rodon. He's a beast. He's incredible.
Yeah,
He strikes
he's
guys
good.
out like crazy. Cobb, his numbers don't look great, but I think he's gonna have a good season still.
I mean, a lot of his or most of his innings have looked really good. It was just that one inning that he came back, and like there's a few other circumstances where he gave him some runs, but like he generates a lot of swing and miss. And when I see him pitch, like I'm encouraged by what I see for the most part. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Wood has been kind of what you'd expect from Wood.
Yeah.
He's very inconsistent. He's rocking a 4.38 earned run average right now. Hopefully I'll get a bit lower. I think, upper threes from Wood is what you're looking for. Just kind of like your number 4 starter, I would say. Maybe even like if our rotation are all playing their best over the course of the season, Wood would probably be your number 5 guy, but I don't know. He's been all right so far. Not too much to say about him, negative or positive. Just, hope to
Kind
get
of the same we saw last season.
yeah, same guy we saw last year pretty much.
And I will say, like, hopefully this Sclafani comes back soon, but if not, I mean, Junis and Sam Long have both looked pretty decent, so they've filled in pretty nicely, I would say.
Yeah, no, Junis is awesome. We talked about him earlier, but yeah, we love Junis. Everyone loves Junis. Let's talk a little about the bullpen too. By the way, sorry if we get cut off at some point and then we have to re-edit it back in, because there's a time limit on the way we're recording right now. So apologies to that in advance. But yeah, this bullpen has been interesting. I like it overall. It's hard to not like this Giants bullpen. There's a couple guys that have been a little vulnerable as of late, but Tyler Rogers is fantastic. Brebbia has been amazing. Duvall is looking like an old self. Overall, this is pretty rock solid bullpen.
Yeah, I like what I've seen from most of the bullpen. It's the only ones that's really concerned me is McGee and and like Marte, who's gone.
Yeah, we got a comment about McGee actually on our
Yeah.
last podcast, and feel free to leave comments, guys. We do read them and check them out. We could talk about them too. But yeah, this guy was saying, yeah, he's got left-handed 3/4 release 4-seamer with arm side movement and low vertical break, which is one of the nastiest and most unique pitches in baseball, regardless of whether the batter knows it's coming. Similar to Aroldis Chapman and Carlos Rodon. And when he's on, he's throwing perfect fastball after perfect fastball but we haven't seen it this year with the consistency that he had last year. And I mean, it's just from watching him, you can tell that's true. I mean, his whole career, he's been this guy just throwing fastball after fastball that looks like I should be pounding the heck out of it, and they're just not. But this year, you know, could be a bit of a location issue. Could be his stuff just isn't as nasty. Maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, these fastballs that it looked like guys should be crushing in other years, they kind of are crushing them this year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny an 8.64 ERA with 9 games now under his belt. Like it just doesn't seem to be all there right now. And he's only got 2 pitches, so he's got to figure him out. Otherwise, I don't know how much longer they can really rely on sending him out there all the time.
Yeah, and when someone's struggling like that too in the bullpen, I would say it's, you know, if it's one thing in particular that you could work on with him, that's, you know, a good thing. Then you could hone in on that. But he's given up more hits per 9 innings than, you know, really any other season in his career. He's giving up more homers per 9 than he has in a few years. He is walking more guys than he has in many years. And right now he's only striking out 4.3 per 9 innings. So he has actually walked the exact same number of guys that he's struck out, which is 4. And McGee should be a pretty good strikeout guy. So he is not fooling guys at all right now, unfortunately. This is a guy that we were using as our closer for a long time last year. You know, he still sometimes we're seeing him in that role this year. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's going to be tough to depend on him this year unless he turns it around big time.
Yeah. I do want to talk about one of my favorite guys out of the bullpen right now. Probably someone that kind of maybe came out of nowhere for some people, but I've kind of like had my eyes on him since last season because no one really expected him to do too well last season. But Brebbia has looked pretty nice to start the season, and he's been in 11 games so far, and he's been pretty solid. Like looking good.
Yeah. I mean, pretty solid is like an understatement. He's
Yeah.
been, you could argue he's been like our best guy out of the pen.
Definitely.
So far. I mean, last year he was coming off. Did he get Tommy John or was it?
Yeah, it was Tommy John and the Cardinals let go of him.
Yeah, and he was obviously not very good, but he had pitched 3 pretty solid seasons with the Cardinals before that. So obviously this guy had potential. It's interesting is he's not striking out as many guys this year, but he's getting it done with weaker contact. He's not walking guys too much, just 2.3 per 9 innings, which is pretty solid for a reliever. I like the lack of the enormous beard. I kind of hope he keeps it that way. Maybe that's part of his secret. But I think
don't know. I think he was already growing it back recently.
Yeah, I think he just grows it as the season goes. So I don't know, whatever works.
And also, today was a little more Duvall coming back into his own, like you mentioned, like in Discord, back to 2021 Duvall.
Yeah, you're getting triple digits on the fastball again, and you're fooling guys with the off speed. Yeah, that's the key to Camilo Duvall.
Yeah, that strikeout of Arenado was pretty nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, he threw even more sliders than I remember him throwing last year. He was like,
I mean,
today.
I thought he was kind of just last year. I felt like he was just blowing people away with his like fastball-ish cutter, but yeah, this season so far he seems to throw a lot more sliders, which I'm not exactly sure why, but that definitely seems to be the case right now.
All right, so next series we got coming up, it's going to be 3 against the Rockies at home, and then it's going to be 3 against the Cardinals in St. Louis. I'm not sure if it's going to be a weekly episode or if it's going to be after the series again, just whatever we feel like, I guess. But I feel very good about this Rocky series, and I'm guessing you feel the same, Alex.
Uh, yeah, I do feel pretty good about going to see the Rockies. I guess Bryant's on the IL. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to face the Giants, I'm sure.
But they do have some scary hitters in their lineup. CJ Cron is definitely their best hitter. It looks like right now,
Yeah.
and they also got Connor Joe, Forever Giant Connor Joe.
Yeah, I mean, part of it for me is just um, what we did to the Rockies when we went into Coors last year. Everyone was losing to them at Coors Field, and the Giants would come in and just smash them no matter where they were playing them. I feel like they've had a decent amount of ownage on the Rockies lately, so I'm not too concerned about this series. Let me just check who pitchers are going to be. Assuming you said Rodon tomorrow.
Yeah, from what I saw, they were just giving Rodon an extra
Yeah.
day.
It's going to be Rodon, Wood, and Cobb.
Mhm.
So, I mean, Rockies pitcher starters are actually pretty decent this year with Gomber, Sensatella, and Chad Cool. But Giants guys are good too. We've had good starting pitching, so I see them taking 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I can see them winning the Rodon game as long as he continues his reign of terror on the league right now.
Yeah.
And maybe the Cobb game, but it could go either way with the two Alexes. They lose one, win one.
Yeah, I see them losing one of the Alex games and winning tomorrow too. Makes sense to me. All right. Any other final thoughts, or should we wrap it up?
I think we're good to wrap it up here. I don't have any like prospects to talk about this week, but we could talk about them next week.
Yeah, fill you in next week. But yeah, so hopefully they continue their momentum. They looked pretty good this weekend after a slump. Slumps are going to happen throughout the season. That's how it goes. Even for really good teams like the Giants probably are. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back in either a few days or next weekend, and enjoy this week's games.